I'm noticing that it's really like we're in a world where both men and women are lacking this balance. And so this is where you have, unhealthy men and unhealthy women. And it's not just that we're in a patriarchal society and men are the bad people. It's even within the feminist movement, it's too masculine. Mm-hmm. I find that the Western feminist movement is all about how do we become more masculine. And actually, what we need to do is learn how we become more feminine as women, because within that is our strength. It's the same thing with the men. It's them learning how to be healthy within their own masculine, not disregarding the feminine within themselves, but it's just about how do we find a balance and how do we actually balance each other out in the game that we play together.
Yo, you made it! My name is Omar Shaker, and I'm honored to welcome you to the Gumcast, where we have deep conversations about the human spirit and what keeps us going despite the shittiness of it all. Our goal is to encourage you to feel seen, heard, and understood. So tune in for real and raw conversations and become part of them on findgumption.com. Hey, welcome to episode 13. And it is Friday, the 13th of January 2023 as I record this, and looking outside my window, the weather is horrible. It's been raining. It's been super windy. We have come a long way since the last episode, or the weather since episode 12 in Oakland has changed dramatically. And I feel like Friday the 13th is a great day to be recording the intro to this episode, which I recorded almost a year ago, about our relationship to gender. And the reason I say that is because I am terrified to publish this one. Because it has become so hard in this day and age to discuss the differences between men and women. And it is a deeply personal thing for me, since I am one of those people whose relationship has broken down in trying to renegotiate a new contract between men and women. And I've seen so many of my friends and heard so many stories of men and women just not being able to get along, or even being able to have a conversation about what this new contract entails. I think we have a lot of ancient ideas that are in our epigenetics, like we discussed on episode 8 with my friend Jean-Marie. And at the same time, we have a lot of inflammatory new ideas coming at us from the media, telling us how we need to live our lives, how we need to express our gender. And these ideas are not rooted in tradition or any kind of model that we can understand. And I feel like we're all trying to find a balance between those two concepts. And yet, there is no balance currently in place. And so I think we are kind of untethered, and this is what this conversation is about. It's a really hard time to make sense of anything, really. And so I'm so grateful for my guest today, who describes herself essentially as a space holder. And that is exactly the kind of energy and skill set that we need to maneuver such a thorny, difficult topic. So without further ado, my guest today is Sumaya Holdijk. She is half Syrian, half Dutch, but has lived in Egypt, and this is her story in how she survives the sexual harassment jungle that is Cairo. Sumaya is someone that is incredibly powerful. I think all genders across all different countries and all different modes of thought and backgrounds can benefit from how she regulates her own self. She is also a somatic body worker. She provides this ancient Chinese traditional massage called Qini Tsang, and she will talk a little bit more about it. She's also a doula, helping women give birth, and also more recently started getting educated in how to help people pass over in death. So she essentially holds space for people coming into life and going out of life. And I think it's kind of like the murky middle that is problematic for us. And so I invite you to listen to her story with an open mind, take from it whatever you think is helpful to you, and in our discussion, try to hold space for both of us as we attempt to approach this from a space that feels genuine to our own stories and gently push back on each other's perspectives. So here is Sumaya Holdijk and our relationship to gender. Remember, if you're finding yourself holding your breath, just breathe. It'll be okay, and I'll see you on the other side. Hey, Sumaya.
Hi, Amr.
How are you?
I'm good.
I am doing very well today because I just had a massage from you, and it's something I really look forward to. And I've been really excited to record this episode because I knew that I would have a massage and then record, and I usually have the jitters, and now I feel very relaxed.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yes. What's the name of the massage?
Yeah, so I do a very specific massage called Qinetsang. It's a therapeutic abdominal massage, and it was created by Taoist monks who basically found that when they were meditating, they would find a lot of stagnation and a lot of energy that would get stuck in their abdomen. And now they're discovering that the gut is your second brain. So in Chinese medicine, a lot of your emotions get stuck in the organ system, as well as energy. So Qinetsang basically moves the energy, moves stuck emotions, moves the lymphatic system, moves the blood system. And it's actually an extremely important massage to get done regularly. I mean, our organs are our life. You know, without our kidneys, without our liver, without our, you can probably survive with half of your intestines gone, but you wouldn't have a healthy lifestyle. So it's really a combination of moving energy as well as physically working on the organ system.
No wonder I feel so good. And another thing that makes me really excited to come here, and it's such a sad thought that this might be the last massage I get now because I'm leaving Egypt, but hopefully you'll come visit us on the other side. But I really do look forward to these massages, and I look forward to the conversations with you because I either learn something or am challenged on something every time, and I love that. I love that about having these conversations with you. And the more we're comfortable together, the more we can challenge each other. And yeah, I learn a lot from you. And the inspiration behind this episode has been about several conversations we've had about sexuality, about balancing the male and the feminine side of us, but also your own stories as a girl growing up in Egypt and having to deal with society's ways of harassment, and especially how you've integrated that and owned it and came up with a way that you challenge these people back. And I think there's something really inspiring for both men and women to hear your story. So we always ask our guests first to start with a story that helps the audience kind of connect with your struggle or your path through the struggle. And today we're specifically going to be focusing on harassment and what that has to do with our stories around sexuality. So hopefully we'll get into both. Let's start with some of your own personal stories growing up and dealing with harassment.
I'm half Dutch, half Syrian, and I grew up in Egypt in the 80s. And then I guess in the 80s and the 90s, the harassment was pretty intense in Egypt. I think it's definitely improved over the last, 20 years, 30 years. But basically, when I was growing up, I would get harassed all the time because I look foreign. As a young girl, you get harassed in Egypt. I think everybody was getting harassed at the time. And I grew up in a family. My parents are both Sufis. So, this whole concept of respecting society, dressing in a certain way, so that you respect the society that you're in. They're not used to, seeing you like dressed up in provocative way. I was allowed to wear whatever I wanted when I traveled abroad, but in Cairo, my parents would always tell me to dress متحشمة شوية يعني. Obviously that I would leave the house dressed up in jeans and a t-shirt and I would still get harassed. So, a 10-year-old boy would come and slap my ass, or I'm walking to a friend's house and a guy would come in the middle of the night and just grab my boobs and run off. And
it sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it was terrifying for sure, especially like at a younger age, like, and not, walking in the middle of the night in my ID alone. And then, having somebody come out in the middle of the night just grabbing your boob was terrifying.
Yeah.
But I think like over time, what I realized, especially like after doing a lot of internal work and understanding, your energy and what you attract and how you actually create the environment around you, I realized that I would get harassed more when I was in a state of imbalance within myself. So when
that was really fascinating to hear. I think that's the part that really stuck with me, this idea that you check in with yourself before you leave the house.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so when I would feel off, like imbalanced and not grounded, then I would have much more harassment coming towards me. So, that was one thing that I came to realize. Another thing that I came to realize was that it didn't matter what I was wearing, whether I was harassed or not, especially at a young age. So I was harassed wearing a big t-shirt where my boobs weren't showing. In the 90s, it was fashionable to wear these baggy jeans and like baggy shirts, and I would still get harassed. So at some point I made a decision that, I didn't really give a shit about the culture and what was provocative and what wasn't. I wanted to wear what was comfortable for me and what I felt. And clothes are an extension of an expression of how I feel. It's how I'm creative. Whether it is, I don't wear a bra, and I haven't worn a bra since I was 14 years old. Not because, I want to show off my nipples, but because of health reasons and because that's a different topic. And I don't have, shame around my breasts and my nipples and them showing. So I've kind of gone through these different stages. And what I realized was the more that I was able to really go into my power and wear what I was comfortable wearing and really going down, feeling like confident, the less that I got harassed. I mean, I am a foreigner, so I think that there is a bit more leeway to what you can get away with in Egypt, unfortunately, as a foreigner versus, being an Egyptian woman. And probably, if you're a veiled Egyptian woman wearing really tight clothes, you're going to get harassed more. But what I noticed was the fact that when I would go down feeling grounded and confident within myself, then it was, the men were somehow scared or too shocked, or people wouldn't say, you wouldn't hear the harassment, or maybe I just wasn't even conscious of it. Maybe just because of the way where I was in my, in my state of energy, like I don't even notice that I'm being harassed, if that makes sense, But I definitely noticed a big shift in how people would approach me when I dressed in a certain way. And even if I was approached, I wasn't scared of talking back or, standing my ground or setting my boundaries, and that was respected, So I do go down in the metro, wearing shorts if I want to, or a short dress, or, I've gone down to Hataba wearing what I want to wear.
In the Egyptian metro?
Yes, in the Egyptian
metro. In shorts? Yes. I'm sure some girl somewhere is very jealous right now.
And I have struggled with this idea of respect. I do dress appropriately. Like if I respect somebody and I'm going to see a sheikh, then I'm going to dress appropriately. It's not that I'm going to go and dress in whatever I want all the time. For me, it's a way of just like saying, no, fuck you. I'm going to wear whatever I want. If I feel like wearing hot shorts today, then I'm going to wear hot shorts, Yeah. If that's the feeling that I have, then that's what I'm going to do. And it's, for me, it's worked, and it makes my life much easier here. I don't feel restricted. I don't feel like, I have to go abroad to dress the way that I want to dress. I don't feel like I'm a hypocrite as well, because I do what I want to do. It's not, I'm not going to pretend that I'm wearing long dress because, the culture is not accepting it.
Yeah.
And what I realized was that the culture wasn't respecting me back, no matter what I wore. So if it's about the culture or the men in the culture, and like you don't want to be provocative, it didn't matter. That was what I realized. And actually, I got harassed much less when I wore what I wanted. Somehow, this is what I've noticed for myself. I'm not saying that it works for every woman, but this is what worked for me. And so this is how I live my life. And I, in my neighborhood, I'm very well respected. I go down sometimes in my robe or literally in my towel. But like the men around have kind of accepted that this is what I do, and they really like me as a human being. And it's kind of, they see beyond that now. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But I'd love to hear more about these stages that you mentioned.
Yes.
How did you consciously take yourself through them, and what did they look like?
I mean, I've done a lot of work on myself generally, and I think it's just coming into that. I mean, I think I didn't understand it so much mentally at the time, like when I was in my 20s, of, coming into your own power, manifesting your reality, actually, no, I tell you what really helped me when it comes to that. I did a lot of something called family constellation, and family constellation really brings out what's in the subconscious in your family dynamics and in the way that certain patterns in your life come into existence.
Is that something like a family tree?
No, it's a type of energy work. It's based on Jungian psychology, and then also indigenous culture, family dynamics, and like healing family trauma, ancestral trauma. It's this guy called Bert Hellinger who developed it. He's a German therapist. And what he found was that when there's trauma in the family lineage, what happens is that it starts reverberating into certain issues, like generations to come. Okay. The reason why I'm going into that is because this is how I came into this understanding of like being the victim and the perpetrator, and like what that means. So in constellation work, in death, there is no such thing as victim or perpetrator. Okay, so if somebody is murdered, or someone is murdered, or someone is abused, or someone is the abuser, in death, we are all equal. Does that make sense? So there's in a way, you start understanding that there's no such thing as being a victim and a perpetrator. It's just circumstance. Yeah. And so what happens is that like this idea that I was abused or I am being harassed is, for me, I was able to shift that perception. Yeah. So it's how I am in my being. Where am I in my own healing process? Where am I in my own energy? What do I attract? That is always a mirror of where I am in my life. Okay. And so, yeah, if I'm constantly being harassed, then there's something in me that's attracting that. Yeah. There's something in the way, my body language, my energy, because I believe in energy. So it's really like, what is it that is within me that is bringing this energy towards me?
Yeah, that's why I love you and I love talking to you, because like you focus on what's important, and I think that kind of conversation is much more important for us to understand. That's really the information that's missing, not how to blame the other gender for everything. What you talked about, the victim, hero, villain triangle is...
We move between all of them.
Yes,
so
exactly.
There's no such thing as one person being a victim. It's like we're everything and nothing at the same time, you know? And so it's... what I noticed with the when you're looking more on the side of the men who are harassing you, what I see is a lot of fear. So when you're in your power, you feel confident, your body language is confident, then the men don't feel confident enough to come and harass you.
No.
So when you are inti and when you're like actually like in a state of like, I'm gonna close my body, right? Because women who are scared of being harassed have a certain way of walking, have a certain way of holding their body, where they're kind of closing everything, hunched a little bit, trying to hide their breasts, trying to hide their like vulnerable parts. And for a man who is weak, essentially, and wants to feel like they're powerful is going to find, I mean, subconsciously, I don't even know if it's conscious, but will subconsciously see a woman in that state and will harass her, right? Because she's an easy target. Yeah. So it's both of us playing this game, and it's about how do you come into your own power. If a man, like, I mean, I've had stories where men are harassing me and I've gone up to them and I've hit them. It doesn't feel like harassment to me. I'm like, you know what, fuck you. You're gonna try and come at me. I'm gonna come at you too. Or, pulling his dick out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm walking towards him. And so what does he do? He gets into his car and he runs away. Because you know what, he's afraid. Yeah, or a man harassing me and me walking up to them and being like, hey, what are you saying? And they're like, oh, nothing. I'm like, no, be a man. If you are a man and you want to, like, say something to me, then say it to my face.
Yeah.
And instead of saying it, they run away.
Yeah.
I mean, it does happen where the man will hit you back. It's happened, but most of the time it's this, like, power struggle.
Yeah, it's interesting, obviously, to reflect on this as in my experience as a man.
Yeah.
Because harassment is fear reaction, for sure. So when I think of harassment, I don't think of a man that's trying to connect with a woman, right? Mm-hmm. It's a man that is probably afraid of the other men around him.
Yes.
Thinking that he's less of a man and wanting to show them that he is courageous enough to catcall or say something or touch something.
Yeah.
And run away, which is like, it's like stealing, right? It's like you're taking something that is not yours, that you kind of like didn't.
And we weren't invited.
Yeah. You didn't make that connection. Yeah. And I remember a lot of peer pressure around me not wanting to say something when a woman is passing by and I'm just standing, having a smoke with a bunch of my friends, and they would start saying something, and even internally I would have this experience where before I had the awareness to understand that it's going on, I'd have this experience, I remember, of me being less than them or something. And it was constantly a struggle. So there's also this concept of when you say something like that, or when you harass someone, you would then naturally be more of a man. And from the other side of the equation, you would get also judged for as though you were completely in control of the situation, and there isn't that other person that can actually take action, that can show you your fear, that can help you grow. And especially when it comes to wearing like short clothes, right? Because there is some truth to the fact that if I see a short skirt, I will want to look. Now my action is different, but there is something instinctive. But then what society says is, okay, let's control how people are dressed up rather than let's try to understand why this reaction is happening. And
look, don't get me wrong. When I wear a short skirt, I know I'm going to get attention, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You understand? So I'm not doing it unconsciously. I'm doing it very consciously, and I'm okay with getting the attention, and I'm okay with flaunting my body, and I'm okay if a man is going to look at me in a nice way and he's going to say something sweet like, oh, you look so beautiful. That's okay to me. Because, I know I look beautiful, and it's okay to get that attention. I don't mind. I'm okay with having that energy. I'm not okay with being shamed or with being touched without consent. All of these things are not okay for me. But there is an awareness when I go down that, yes, I'm not expecting every man not to look. You understand? Which is what Western society has done. But that for me is also unhealthy because it's become so individualistic that you don't even notice what's around you.
Yeah.
You understand? Anna, for me, having attention is not harassment. It is the aggression or the energy that comes behind it, where it's this power struggle, right? So it's this idea that men are more powerful than a woman, right? Which is a lot of times what the fathers teach the women, what the relationship between the man and the woman or the husband and wife is, and that's what the son sees. Or it's this like, it can be a game as well, So I've seen it before where the men, encourage the young boys to harass, and the women are laughing about it, and it's accepted within society. So I have a friend of mine who actually passed the law where if men harass, they get 3 years in prison. And she was telling me that when she was harassed and she was trying to go, trying to make trouble and get the police, a woman actually came to her and was like, be quiet, like, don't embarrass yourself. What are you doing? So it goes both ways. It's the women that are also a part of that, where it's encouraged somehow as a young boy, it's encouraged to touch a girl's ass. It's looked at as funny, or it's not just like, men are crossing boundaries because they're evil or horrible. It's like a very deeply ingrained idea where there's a lot of stripping that needs to happen, and a lot of awareness that needs to come. And it's not just the men, it's the women as well who play a part in it. And I've seen, I've had men harass me while the girlfriends are sitting next to them. Oh. And the girlfriend is laughing and touching her boyfriend and like, and he's harassing me, literally.
Wow.
So that's happened to me before as well. And it's not just as simple as like, oh, he's crossing a boundary and he's grabbing my ass, or, or an old man grabbing my crotch in the Greek club. And then like, really, literally, all the waiters are like, malish, he's an old man and he drinks and like, just go home. And me screaming like, kick the fucking man out of this place. And they're like, basically telling me to leave,
Wow.
It's...
And you touch on an important point, which is the underlying shame that we inherit. Mm-hmm. And without self-reflection, we can't untangle ourselves from it. So that was a big theme of the novel, but also like the podcast so far. We talk about shame and we talk about victimhood. And a big part of, I think, what happens with harassment is that we are projecting a lot of that onto others in the form of blame, because we can't handle our own shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And instead there's like, oh, all men are bad, or no woman should dress up in a sexy way. And what kind of world are we creating? It's one that we're avoiding ourselves in.
No, and I think that like you can approach harassment in a way where you don't feel like a victim. Like I don't feel like a victim of that. For me, it's been very, I've grown a lot from all of these experiences, and I've released a lot of anger through these experiences. I also played a part in my own reactions. And, sometimes you can go down and actually just talk to a person like, oh, you think you're talking to me in that way, so let's have a conversation. Let's shift the idea and understanding of that. And let's try and create a world where it's not man against woman, or he's bad, I'm good, and he harassed. I mean, there's a lot of like also, blaming now that's happening, where, some men are blamed for raping when I don't even know if there's an awareness of that. It's not happening consciously. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like how do we actually start healing instead of like blaming all the time and being angry at each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Because we need to go beyond that.
Yeah.
It's not working. It's just creates more anger, more resentment, more trauma, when there is a way of healing it. Yeah.
Okay, so now that we're warmed up, let's get into the deep stuff. Let's get into the good shit and talk about what is underlying this wrapper of harassment, which is really sexuality, right? And understanding our own sexuality and how that can connect with others. And where do we start unpacking? One of the concepts that we discuss is that we all have a certain balancing point between masculine and feminine, right? That's also based in Jungian psychology, the anima in the male and the animus in the female, right? And when you are telling someone, fuck you, or like running towards a guy that just took his penis out, that's you in your animus, right? Yes. It's a very masculine, like, I'm going to come give you shit. And I'm not going to take your shit, right? And you described it beautifully, like the masculine being a giving force and the feminine being a receiving force. And tell us a little bit about your internal experience of that, how you came about kind of uncovering that first for yourself.
I mean, for me, it's been a really big struggle because I find that within my own relationships, I'm extremely masculine. And it created a lot of problems because I would be very much in my masculine, but also very mothering. And my experience of mothering is very masculine because my mother is extremely masculine. My father is pretty balanced, actually, I have to say. My mother is maybe a bit less balanced. She's been working a lot on herself, and so she's become much more balanced as I've gotten older. But my own experience within my own self was that I was finding it difficult to receive. And through meeting different people, women who have been working on sacred sexuality, on connecting with the womb, I came to realize that I'm very much in my masculine. And so learning how to start becoming more feminine and kind of like balancing the two, not saying like, oh, I don't want to be masculine anymore, but just understanding how to use both so that I can use it in my day-to-day life, within my own relationships, within my work, with the way that I, hold space. That's come much later, and I'm still working on that. It's still a work in progress. I'm still understanding how to be more in my feminine and what that means, and how does that, how do I embody that in my interactions with people. And I'm noticing that it's really like we're in a world where both men and women are lacking this balance. And so this is where you have, unhealthy men and unhealthy women. And it's not just that we're in a patriarchal society and men are bad people. It's even within the feminist movement, it's too masculine. I find that the Western feminist movement is all about how do we become more masculine, and actually what we need to do is learn how we become more feminine as women, because within that is our strength. It's the same thing with the men. It's them learning how to be healthy within their own masculine, not disregarding the feminine within themselves, but it's just about how do we find a balance and how do we actually balance each other out in that, and the game that we play together.
So now with this awareness, what kind of signs do you look for in a potential partner that they're in their healthy masculine versus unhealthy masculine?
I haven't found that yet, to be honest. But I think that it's a man who's able to really like contain a woman, if that makes sense. We need this idea of a chalice. I think it's this idea that a woman needs to be held. As mothers, we hold, but as women, we need to be held so that we're able to really come into ourselves, and so that we're able to be healthy mothers and healthy like partners. And so that's what I'm kind of looking for in a man. And I think that comes with a man who's really comfortable with himself, and comfortable with holding space. Because we can be a lot sometimes. We're very emotional, we're big, we have big energies. And so a man,
the force of life.
Yes,
itself.
Exactly. Yeah. And we create life. So we need to be able to be held. Yeah.
So when you say being held, what kind of images come to your mind other than like literally holding space for these emotions to happen without being judged for like being too angry?
Yeah, where there's the energy is able to be balanced and calm. Where I'm allowed to freak out, and where he's allowed to freak out, because I think we need to give that to each other, obviously. Where I'm able to have like my little freak out and have a man hold space and be like, well, I'm here for you, and I'm holding space and I see you. And when you're finished, then we can have a conversation, and me doing the same for him as well. But I think that, it's not easy to find that in a partner. It's hard for two people to do that for each other. And I find that a man who's in his masculine is able to do that hold space for a woman.
Yeah, I feel like it can go both ways, because a man in his masculine can be aggressive, can also be like, he tries to contain the fire by putting water on it. And maybe that's not what the woman needs at that point.
But I think that when you're in a healthy state, you know how to move that energy in the right direction. So how do you use that aggressive energy? Because we all have aggressive energies, like we have it in a different way than men do, but it's how do you direct that in a healthy way, where it's constructive. So I think traditionally, men went out hunting, there was a lot of physical activity where a lot of that was released. So it didn't have to come into the household. So it's learning how to direct that aggressive energy in a healthy way, where it's constructive, where there's growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there are plenty of ways to connect with our other, part. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've been exploring a lot of that in psychedelic ceremonies, in creativity in general, being in touch with more of my feminine side through the Soul Project, actually. But when it comes to the body, since you're a massage therapist, what kind of things can we do when it comes to embodying the masculine or the feminine? Sometimes in the massage, you mentioned that the right side is the masculine and the left side is the feminine, right? Yeah. So what does that mean? Like when you say that the right side is the masculine, are there certain emotions that get locked up in the body and therefore can be released? Is that okay?
It's this is what we found this is what they say in Chinese medicine. This is what they say in a lot of bodywork traditions. Is this the right is the liver side, which is very much a masculine energy. And the left is more the pancreas and the spleen, which is a very feminine energy. So yin and yang, yeah. And in Chin Tsang, the right side is the yin and the left side is the yang. And it creates this cycle, so it works together. And a lot of the energies, the emotions that get stuck in the right side are very yang energies. And the same goes with the left side. It's more feminine yin energies.
Okay. Yeah. How can we use that information on a day-to-day basis?
I think it's just being conscious and aware, because our body tells us a lot of stuff that's happening. So when we're in a certain state, for example, you'll find that people who overwork a lot or who drink a lot or who are in a very stressed out state, which is a very masculine state, actually, very rigid, you need to be on time, you need to be doing this work. And that's where the right side starts getting affected. The liver gets affected, the gallbladder gets affected, where anger and frustration are stored. And so, our body is an indication that there's something going on in our system that needs to be looked at. So if you have a lot of energy being stuck in the right side, or your right side is really, or the right side is the male, which is the giving side, doing, giving. The left is the feminine, where we're receiving, we're in the emotional state. And it can be imbalanced, by the way. You could be giving too much and you could be receiving too much. Yeah. So in Chinese medicine, it's constantly about how do we balance the two. You could be very happy, and that's also imbalanced in Chinese medicine. Where I'm joyful all the time, that's not healthy. So it's not even just about the masculine and the feminine. It's about everything always finding balance, neutral states. Yeah, where nothing is ever extreme. So, for example, when I work too much, I get a lot of liver issues. And so I know that I'm too much in my masculine state. I'm too much in this I need to make money, I need to survive, I need to work super hard. And I forget the whole moving in flow, being spontaneous, being creative, using my voice, dancing, all of these things that are very much about the feminine aspect of my life, trusting that money will come. Abundance is there. I will receive. I don't need to be so much in the giving and the doing. I find that when you're able to come into a good balanced state, then you know when to receive and when to give. Where it doesn't have to be constantly giving or constantly receiving. It's okay, I'm in this neutral state and now I need to give, but then I come back into my balanced state. And I think, a lot of spiritual practice or Zen Buddhism, all of that is about balance, constantly coming back into balance. Yeah.
I think it's a really good time to share one of the secrets that you have shared with me, that a man can actually last for hours without any drugs or chemical substances. And that the idea that a man has to ejaculate in order to orgasm is actually a fallacy. I don't know if everyone is ready to hear this, but
it's men and women. It's not just for men. It's a secret for women as well, because women, we do also like reach a plateau where we can't continue. So there's Mantak Chia, who's this part of the abdominal massage that I do is part of this Taoist practice, where it's this idea that for men, their jing is their semen, and that's their life essence. For women, it's our periods, that's our life essence. And so in Taoist practices, they teach you how to basically harness and control your release of your period, your menstrual cycle, and your jing, so that you can live longer and so that you can also have healthier, more energetic lives. I was telling you that like Mantak Chia was basically one of the first to release this information out into the Western like public, because it was, you know, it's hidden knowledge that was passed on through generations and through families, actually. So each family had their own practices.
Since you're talking about manifesting the world around us, what is something that you wish for men growing up and women? I mean, talking about like, again, people in their 20s and 30s who are maybe trying to figure a lot of this out. What's one wish or intention that we can put together out into the world?
I think that we need to move more into a feminine world, where, you know, women are able to come into their healthy feminine and healthy masculine, and that men are able to also then come into that space, you know, where we're able to kind of start connecting more to the feminine energy of the creative, the moving in flow, the trust, the, you know, love,
acceptance.
The acceptance, because I think that we need to move more into the feminine, and then eventually we'll have much more of an equal world. Like, I think we've been so much in the masculine for so long, men and women. I think we're both.
You lost me at feminine. No, I'm just kidding. I agree with you. And even looking at really old civilizations, like the idea of this divine feminine, the woman
we're goddesses.
Yeah.
We are. We create life.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, we create love and life, and we give birth to it. So there is something there, right?
Yes. And we have degraded that. We have like
medicalized
captivated
it.
Medicalized it.
We've taken the power away, actually, from it, unfortunately, and put it into the hands of men who have never experienced birth.
Right.
Ever. Right. And will never experience it.
And now you also spend some time helping women give birth, right? Professionally. And I'm wondering, like, I can't help but ask what's one of the most like miraculous things that you have seen in your time helping people give birth?
In what way?
In like this,
in the process?
In the process of giving birth. You mentioned that women are essentially, especially in that point, going through a major transition, right? Yes. It's like a major physiological, psychological, spiritual. Yes. They are becoming goddesses in a way, because the creation moment. Yeah, what's one memory that sticks out to you?
I mean, I think for me, that's what I find extremely profound, is that when you are around a woman giving birth, time and space doesn't exist. And this is something that you can feel, and it's extremely tangible as a woman is birthing. So this is something that you don't really experience unless you've taken psychedelics, where, you know, kind of you lose sense of time and you're in a moment where everything feels like it's... But in birth, the woman who is birthing, the energy that she creates that sphere of basically time and space not existing. And everyone around her experiences that. And that for me was an extremely profound experience, you know.
That's a beautiful idea to end on. Sumaya, thank you so much. This episode flowed very freely, and I feel like it was balanced. And I feel like we both knew when to give and when to take.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to leave people with?
The deepest part of our humanity is to really just understand how powerful we are and how godlike we are, and how our healing process is really within us. So it's just about always like looking. There's no right or wrong, and it's just really about your journey. And we're at the end, if you believe in God, I think we're all going to end up moving towards God. It's just that how do you want to flow getting there, right? And life can be much easier. And I think that the more responsibility you take within yourself, the easier the world becomes around you. So whether it's harassment or relationships or whatever it is, it's becomes easier.
We all just need to look into ourselves.
Exactly.
And be okay with whatever is in there.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Sumaya.
Thank you.
Nice. You made it to the end of the episode. Congratulations for having enough space to hold both our perspectives. And thank you for allowing us to try to unpack these things that sometimes feel like an insurmountable mountain between men and women these days. What I love about these conversations with Sumaya is that her and I disagree fundamentally about so many things, even way outside of this gender discussion. And our debates can not always be as restrained or civil or even friendly as this episode was. And yet there's always space with her to do this give and take, which is the essence, the essential core of human conversation and communication. Creating space for the other to express their truth, knowing that that might fundamentally be in conflict with yours. And the promise of that is that the other person will have enough self-awareness. Let me know in the comments how this episode was for you. Findgumption.com is where you can find me and find a lot of other media that is meant to nourish your spirit and at the very least help you feel seen and heard. I'm Omar Shaker, and I can't wait to share episode 14 with you next, where I have a reunion with two of my best friends from high school, and we meet back in our hometown of Egypt. And we talk about the very exciting, terrifying, and conflicting topic of our penis. I'll see you then. Season 2 of the Gumcast is brought to you by Mustafa Al-Azabi on audio engineering and music leveling, Kiva Shweig on audio trimming and music selection, yours truly, Omar Shaker, on story and content creation. Very special thanks and gratitude go out to Paul Kist, who produced Season 1 and gave the Gumcast its voice, and the one and only Omar Al-Deeb, whose expertise and advice on music production keeps us performing on a top level. Thank you all for listening, and see you next episode.